Good evening, YouTube. It is Callus, and I'm here on Wednesday night on what has been a very eventful Wednesday day. We have more Permasand Invitational coverage coming, and there were 3 different sets that played today. Like I said, Wednesday evidently is the prime battling day for this tour. And we're going to start out with the set because, in real life chronological order, this is the set that played first. It was I Love You Jesus. If you guys recognize that alt from some of my Callus Invitational tours, perhaps, that is CyberOdin. And on top, we have Pohjis. This is once again round 3 coverage, so this is lower bracket. Both of these players do have the 1-1 record coming into this, and the losing player will be eliminated. They have randomly been assigned to start on black-white, and here is their game 1 in their best of 3. So like I said, Odin's going to be bottom and Pohjis on the top. That was a little too fast at first, but they did have the immediate switch out of the lead. We have Scald coming down on Ferrothorn here, immediate burn, so that was a good piece of hacks for Odin. Knockoff going to get rid of Black Sludge. And Breloom immediately coming back. Here's Knockoff there as well, so 2 knockoffs, Toxic Orb and Black Sludge respectively both gone. That was a great prediction from Pohjis, but he's going to stay in and get hit with a Drain Punch here, only to set up rocks. I don't know if that was as good for him. Thundy coming in here in what is a rain mirror match, neither player bringing sand. We've just got very different rains. Basically, the only thing they have in common, actually, is the Politude and the Tentacruel, but nevertheless, they are both running Rain. And then Toxic and Thunder both connecting here. Toad coming in, setting up Rain. It's the first Toad appearance from either player, and full para kicking in twice in a row against Odin, unluckily. There's Encore, prompting a switch. Tentacruel comes in, trying to spin. Scald fishing for a burn, does not find it, and Rain Dish kicking in. There is the rapid spin. Spike's gone. Here's another Scald attempt looking for the burn. He gets a crit instead, but the burn obviously would have been better. And now Sludge Bomb. That's also going to be a crit. And here's Scald again. 3 Scalds in a row for Pohjis, no burn, whereas Odin's only Scalded once and immediately burned the Ferrothorn, so that obviously helps him. But here is yet another critical hit. So a bunch of hacks early on in this game. Pohjis takes the early lead. Here's Keldeo coming in, going straight for Secret Sword. There's Protect, there's some lefties. Now it's Tentacruel coming in for Pohjis, even though there are no spikes down, simply coming in to resist the Secret Sword. Going to take 42% for his trouble, going to go for it again, this time it's 40, and there's Toxic landing on Keldeo, very crippling, no way for it to remove that. And now here's Protect, trying to stall out some poison damage as the Secret Swords continue. But between the Black Sludge and the Rain Dish, Tentacruel going to be just fine here, pending a crit. Doesn't come. Here's a Scald for lack of anything better to do. A little more damage, 20%. Probably a Protect incoming for Pohjis unless he predicts a switch, goes for an attack, which he does not. He simply goes Protect again as the Breloom sneaks in for Odin, currently sitting behind 6-5. Protect again on a full para. Breloom's been the victim of many full paras so far. Now Scizor comes in. Neutral damage on Drain Punch. Breloom nice and healthy now at 80. Scizor also relatively healthy. Intimidate comes in as Lando happens. U-turn to Politoad. And that's going to threaten it with a potential Ice Beam. We haven't actually seen its last move. Encore Scald Protect is it so far. And it is going to be Scald again. That's going to connect with Breloom. 22%. Protect for lefties, why not? And there's a Drain Punch attempt coming down. Not too much progress for either guy since that initial knockout. A couple of key Pokemon are hit with the poison, this Thundy being one of them, and of course the Keldeo as well. Thunder here is protected against, and that's going to, of course, do more poison damage. Now Jirachi switches in. Over prediction by Pohjis, goes for HP Ice into the Breloom there. Bounces off the Jirachi, barely doing more than the lefties gains back. Thundy can't miss in the rain. Gets him, but doesn't find the para. There's Wish, which is probably paired with Protect to get even more poison damage, but a great prediction by Odin there, not going for it, and instead attacking on the switch, giving himself a great chance to find para, but it doesn't kick in. He does get 23% there on the Politoad, though, so it was a good play either way. And it is more protecting for lefties here, as the Rain Dish does its thing for the Tentacruel and the lefties for the Politoad in the Perma-Rain situation that we have here in the Permasand Invitational. Trick coming down, Choice Scarf, I don't know that it really matters on Loom. That was certainly, I think, hoping there was a switch, but it was not. So Loom is going to get that scarf after being knocked off earlier. And here comes Trick again. He's now going to get lefties after locking Rachi on the choice item. And the choice item is going to give him Body Slam. So we know what he's going to be doing. Pohjis can react however he wants. He goes for Scald, fishing Burn, doesn't find it. Pohjis has been unlucky in that regard. Wish to Breloom. And again, it's just Scald, 19%. The wishes received goes all the way back up to 92. Here's Scald again. And there's full para again. Breloom has had many full paras throughout this game. And there's another one. Jeez, this Breloom has been crippled from paralysis. Has missed so many turns. Gets the facade off finally, 47% thanks to the boost that it's receiving from the paralysis. And there's been a lot of protecting in this game on Pohjis' end, both from the Tentacruel and the Politoed to milk that recovery. Scald and full para. Speak of the devil. The full paras are relentless for Odin, and he's not able to switch in on these protect turns to the Tentacruel. Not that he has an amazing switch to the Tentacruel. Now Scizor comes in. That eats Facade. 20%, not a problem. Forces out the Breloom. Lando is once again the immediate answer to Scizor. Intimidate and U-turn leaves Lando at 52%. It's not gaining lefties. Might be a Scarfer. Gonna go for U-turn. Politoed gonna scout forward via the protect. Goes U-turn again. 29%. Now it's Loom again. Comes in on Scald. 19%. Loom will not live another, probably. Well, a critical hit takes any element of chance out of it. Certainly can't live that. Loom goes down and the lead gets bigger for Pohjis. Now up 6-4. Keldeo, still poisoned from before, makes a reappearance. He's fishing for Hydro Pumps. Connects the second time after protect the first time. 44 is a nice chunk with the rain boost, but it's not going to be enough. Here comes Lando. Pohjis not able to predict that and go for the great Scald there. He does go for the obvious protect, can't pull the trigger, and he is once again going to see what Lando locks on, which is once again U-turn. Here comes Tentacruel for the resistance. There is a lucky crit there to do more than it would otherwise, 34%, but not a huge deal. Tentacruel still very healthy and protecting every turn for both Rain Dish and the Black Sludge, which is the even better lefties. So Tentacruel is A-okay. He lands a Toxic on his counterpart. Odin desperately hoping for a burn. Does not find it, and the window seems to be closing on Odin in this game one. He goes for the Scald here, finds a crit but not a burn on the opposing Politoed, who now once again, as he's been doing throughout the game, can just sit there and spam protect and get healthy again. He's out of range of a non-crit Scald now. Goes for his own Scald, 15. Scald back, 13. And the limbo continues. There's lefties and probably an incoming protect again. Rachi and Protect respectively. On PP, he's got 7 of them left, nowhere near out. Here comes Tentacruel. There's Body Slam. Finally, Odin finding some hacks. Body Slam kicking in with a 60-40 chance to do so with Serene Grace. Gonna go for the Paraflinch combo. Does not find it. In fact, he gets crit through the Paraflinch combo. And now he's gonna go for it again. There's Ironhead 16. Finds the flinch this time. But most of that damage is being negated by the Black Sludge and the Rain Dish. Wish and Scald again. Rachi low. Goes for the Iron Head anyway. Finds the flinch and eats his own Wish. Back up to 68% here. He has no item at the moment. Remember, trick and knockoff and all sorts of shenanigans earlier. Shuffling a bunch of items around. Tenta full Paris here. Goes Protect. Odin not able to predict that and go for a Wish. He simply goes for Ironhead. Tentacruel once again has very healthy. He's proven basically unkillable for Odin. Has not been able to break through this no matter what he tries, but he is not conceding. The Tentacruel has been a massive issue for him throughout the game. His team simply seems very vulnerable to it, cannot kill it. He's tried all game long and just hasn't been able to do it. And there is the Scald burn finally landing on the Rachi. It's going to make life tough. Not only do those Ironheads do basically nothing to begin with, and they're going to do even less now with the burn, but there's also residual damage going on here. Ironhead is 18%, but that's because it crits. Will obviously do far less with a non-crit. Both players hunkering down. Neither one going to switch. They're just going to stay in here and play it out as we cross turn 72 here. One of the longer games as far as Black-White is concerned. Not traditionally a tier that goes into the hundreds the way certain other tiers can and do. But this one looks pretty heavily in favor of Pohjis as far as I'm concerned. A lot of stuff for Odin. In fact, almost everything for Odin is not in good shape. Keldeo here low in poison. Here's Lando at 52, which I think is actually the healthiest thing on his team. Toad at 41 and poisoned. And then the Rachi at 32 and burnt. Odin trying to find a way out of this. He again U-turns. There's the Thunder, and Rachi goes down. Pohjis dominating Odin here with the 6-3 advantage. And Odin trying to make something happen with the Lando. Thinks there'll be a switch. He's wrong. He goes rocks. However, Pohjis is going to go for Thunder, which doesn't capitalize on the situation either. Here's Keldeo. There's Grass Knot. Down that goes. 6-2 advantage now. But Odin is still not ready to concede. And at least he gets on the board with the Poison KO to make it 5-2. But he is so ridiculously far behind. He's going to try to play it out anyway. Here comes the switch to Pharaoh, very low for Pohjis. He's going to get foddered off to the crit U-turn here. And, well, only one thing to U-turn to. It's going to be the Poly reappearing. Here we are in turn 80. And Lati going to be the answer for Pohjis. There is no good switch at this point for Odin. Going to have to take the Draco Meteor. Down goes Poly, and it is Lando and Lando only remaining for Odin. Here comes the Polytoad sacrifice, and U-turn is going to be the move that should be checkmate between Scizor and Tentacruel. There's no way that he's getting out of this. There's the bullet punch and the knockout, and Pohjis takes game 1 over Odin in this best of 3, more or less wire to wire. Felt like Pohjis was ahead basically the whole time. Didn't ever really feel, certainly like Odin was ahead, but it didn't even really feel like Odin was truly making a comeback and about to even the game up at any given point. This really felt like a dominant game for Pohjis, but it is a best of 3. The fact that he won this game pretty handily does not mean anything for game 2 and a potential game 3 to come. The loser, as you guys probably know, gets to pick the next game. It's either DPP or ADV. And let's see together, what did Odin pick? Odin chose, this is Gen 4. Odin chose to take us to DPP. So we'll see if he takes Pohjis out here and sends us to a third game, which would of course be ADV. Or if it's going to be a 2-0 favoring Pohjis, which would eliminate Odin from this tour. Here is game 2. Lead Zapdos and Titar, very standard leads for both players. And immediate switch to Swampert as rocks come down. Good turn 1 for Pohjis. He's going to go to Skarm, and rocks come down for Odin. So there we are. Here comes Breloom now, and Spike. So a lot of hazards in the very early turns here for both players. And there is Spore to make the Skarm take a nap, whether he likes it or not. Breloom activates his Toxic Orb as well. Goes for Superpower, decent chunk, 41%, and Skarm with the immediate wake. That's quite unlucky for Odin. Immediate wake and Drill Peck, down goes Breloom. What was an even situation quickly becomes an advantage situation for Pohjis. He's now going to get in for free on discharge as he brings in Nidoqueen. Clearly a hazards-oriented team for Pohjis here, with spikes, with rocks, and now with toxic spikes. He's got all the hazards. And yeah, Zapdos here, all he can do is Heat Wave a couple of times. Really not doing a whole lot of anything. Does find a burn on the second Heat Wave, luckily, so that's something. But just like the previous game, it feels like Pohjis is ahead pretty early here. We'll see if Odin can change his fate, unlike last game, and make some kind of a comeback to get into this. Flygon coming in here for Odin. Takes the crunch not very well. A crit's doing 92%, leaving Flygon immediately on its deathbed. In fact, it will die the next time it comes into the rocks. And he's going to go for U-turn for lack of anything better to do. Swampert comes in, eating all those hazards on the way in, down to 82%. Gets crunched down to 23%. Or sorry, it does 23%. And then lefties and all that will leave him at 52%. Earthquake and Protect, respectively. This looks very similar to the team that Pohjis used last time. It seems like he is pretty comfortable with this kind of play style across all gens. and we end up with the Zapdos on the Skarm. Skarm obviously does not want to eat an electric attack here. Odin instead opts for a prediction, goes for Heat Wave. 31% of the incoming Rotom, not too bad. Also had the burn chance there, but he didn't find it. Here's Rachi, however, as Pohjis predicts the Toxic and comes in completely for free. Good play on his end. Wish and Heat Wave. That Heat Wave is actually pretty underwhelming for being super effective. It's going to do only 32%. Doesn't seem like a big deal. U-turn and Nidoqueen, that's burnt. It's going to come in on rocks as well. Heat Wave 28%, so she gets pretty low for just a moment, but she receives the wish from Rachi and goes back up to 69 briefly, becoming 56 after the burn kicks in. Rachi and Heat Wave once again, crit or burn opportunity there for Odin, but he finds neither. And again it's Wish, and again it's Heat Ray, but once again, Heat Wave rather, I said Heat Ray. Heat Ray is a magic card, by the way, in case you guys didn't know. But anyhow, Odin did not get crit or get burnt there, so he does manage to avoid that. Zapdos continuing to spam the Heat Waves, and Pohjis is avoiding the effects other than that one burn on the Nidoqueen earlier. Otherwise, he's been out of the woods. There are a good amount of Heat Waves left. He still has 8 of them, so if he wants to continue to play this game, he can keep fishing, and hopefully, for him, obviously, I'm unbiased, find a crit or a burn. Well, burn is out of the question now because he gets the para via discharge, so can't burn him anymore, but maybe he could full para him in a convenient time. Discharge and Iron Head, pretty unexciting there. I mean, I guess all the damage counts. Zapdos is suffering under the sandstorm, so he's not gaining lefties, but we all knew his last move was going to be Roost. There it is, and he now has shown the full set. He roosts back up to full. There's Discharge also getting a power on Rotom, so that's a good turn there for Odin. He's starting to spread status around on the opposing team. There's 2 paralyzed pokes and a burnt poke. However, Odin is flat out down 6-4 as he fodders off Flygon here to the rocks. That's going to prompt out a T-Tower, previously unrevealed. Going to have to make a play here. Goes for Pursuit. Good, but not good enough, 34%. And there is the rest, removing the damage and the status effect from the Rotom. Pursuit again, 35%. See if Pohjis has a play here. Goes Sleep Talk Discharge. 19%, not all that exciting, but what else is he going to do? He's obviously not going to switch against an opponent who's locked on Pursuit, so he has to just hope that the Sleep Talks are cooperative. This time it's Will-O-Wisp, that's not going to do it, and another Pursuit should end the day for the Rotom. He's going to pull back just in case, and he gets killed either way. No way around that. Skarm comes in, T-Tar is low, out of the way. Here's Zapdos, and there is the Roost. T-Tower is effectively dead at this point. It's at 8% in poison, but even if it weren't poisoned, it would simply die to the hazards the next time it comes in. So we effectively have a 5-3 situation favoring Pohjis. Nidoqueen dipping into the red. She's going to protect despite the fact that she's burnt. I guess he really cares about getting rid of that Heat Wave PP. Maybe it is a Steel last, like a Lucario or a Scizor, but that doesn't make a lot of sense to me on a very stall-oriented team. But because he's just letting everything get donked by Zapdos, you've got to think it's a Zapdos vulnerable last. So maybe it is something like a Coon. That makes a lot of sense to me on a very stally team like this. I could totally see it being a Coon-esque water. And there is a Roost coming down for Zapdos, who Pohjis really hasn't had a great answer to. He's had great answers to everything else. Pohjis is winning right now, but he has spent a huge chunk of this game so far simply tap dancing around the Zapdos, trying to find ways to not get things hurt too badly as it fires off its attacks with basically no consequence. Pohjis has not been able to do anything meaningful against this Zapdos, and the 1 or 2 times that he's accumulated a little bit of damage against it, he simply roosts it away. However, the Zapdos is running out of PP for attacking moves at this point. 15 on Discharge is a lot, but he's down to just 4 Heat Waves. Here comes Swampert and full para. Not sure what the Rachi would have done there that really would have mattered. Maybe an Iron Head. Swampert's quite low, though, from all that hazard damage. Goes for an Ice Beam. A Freeze would be great on something, but he doesn't find it. Decent damage to Skarm at 28%. Another layer of spikes comes down. The over-prediction on the Earthquake, thinking there'd be a Roost, but there was not. And there's Spikes layer number 3. So Pohjis has established 3 layers of spikes, rocks, and a layer of toxic spikes. Those are 5 hazards that the pokes from I Love You Jesus, CyberOdin, must contend with. And the last Pokemon, despite the roar there, is still not revealed for either player. We now have ourselves a 3-4 situation. The Zapdos once again going wild, and he finds a crit here and a full para. It's exactly what he needs. He now has an opportunity to finally get something. There's the Protect, and he goes for the kill with Heat Wave. He's got only 1 PP left on Heat Wave. Rachi at 40. Here's Heat Wave again. 33 comes up short. There's the Wish. Maybe, just maybe, he can kill him with Discharge if a full para comes down. But it does not. He gets the Protect through the paralysis, getting the Wish off, and Rachi is healthy again, and Zapdos is officially out of Heat Waves. Pohjis has succeeded in stalling him out of that move, so as long as he can handle the electric attack, he can handle Zapdos from here on out, but his answer continues to be Jirachi. Nidoqueen can obviously handle it, but it's so low at this point. It's at 13% and burnt. Odin at this point sacrifices Swampert to the hazards, and he goes to his last poke here. It is the Penguin, Empoleon, and it is the bulky water that I thought it would be for Pohjis, but it is not the Coon that I thought it would be. It is my Milotic. And Odin resorting to freeze fishing. He goes for the Ice Beam here. Doesn't see any other way around this Milotic. Ice Beam again, 10%, whatever on the damage. What he needs here is a freeze, and in the first 2 attempts, he has not found it. Here's Ice Beam again. Doesn't find it. There's the Surf. Empoleon only going to live what looks like 1 more of those, so he needs to find it soon. Ice Beam again. Still no. There's the Surf. 17%, special attack raise. Whatevs. Still needs the freeze. Goes for it. And there's the Haze getting rid of the stat boosts. Fine. Gives him another opportunity for the freeze. Here's another Ice Beam. Still no. And there's Recover, giving him even more opportunities to find it. Ice Beam again. Still no. There's the Serve and the Knockout, and that should end it. Only the Zapdos remains. Will that get Odin there? I don't think it will at this point. Granted, the stuff on Pohjis' end is pretty banged up, but I think it's too little too late. There is the Surf crit, and down that goes. Odin is going to lose 0-2 against Pohjis. Pohjis is going to eliminate CyberOdin. Odin going out with a 1-2 record, and Pohjis will live to fight another day. Like I said, guys, this is only the first of 3 sets that played today, so there is a lot more content coming. Stay tuned for that, but please do me a favor. Click that like button if you enjoyed this video, and if you've been enjoying this tour in general. Lots more to come. I'll see you guys in the next video.